Welcome back to Elizabeth Plants. I'm Elizabeth, and today we are going to be talking about houseplant successes. So before we get into the houseplants, I want to address the sponsor of this video. So this video is sponsored by Analuisany, which is a sustainable jewelry company. So I am wearing a pair of earrings and 2 necklaces, which they have given me, and I'm going to specifically talk about their brand and these specific pieces. So let's talk about the brand. Analuisany is an absolutely beautiful jewelry company with sustainability at the forefront. So it takes about 20 tons of earth mining to produce a single ring made of gold. And so cheap jewelry is rarely recyclable, which makes a lot of waste. That's why Analuisany uses 100% gold and sterling silver in their products, including the pieces that I am wearing today, obviously. So they also, in addition to that, that makes it sound like their pieces are really scary and expensive and non-accessible for a lot of people. However, they have really fair pricing. Their pieces range from $49 to some more expensive pieces that I saw. And so there's something for everybody that everybody can afford, and it's absolutely beautiful and good for the earth. Something to note is quality. When you see lower prices, you wonder if it's really good quality. And Analuisany is, in fact, they come from the same jewelers as Tiffany's and Louis Vuitton, so you know it is high quality because those are other high quality brands. So now I want to talk about the specific pieces that I chose. I chose these pieces for a reason, and I will show you close-ups so you don't have to squint at the screen while I talk about them as I talk about them. But first I want to start with this top necklace because this was my number one choice. This was the first one that I wanted. And it's just a little arrow, as you can see, and it's absolutely beautiful. So this piece is called Vida, and this specific piece is $75. Absolutely beautiful, my number one pick, my absolute favorite. Next, I want to talk about this lower necklace. So this piece, as you can see in the close-up, is actually reversible. So the side that I'm wearing front right now has like a sun. It's got a little gem and then sun rays coming from it. And then if you flip it over to the other side, it's darker in color with another little gem on it. So I picked this piece because I absolutely love the sun. The sun is something that means a lot to me. Yes, I do mean like the outside sun. And it's also really important for my plants. And so this one just felt super fitting. And this piece is, again, $75. So then to talk about the earrings. So the earrings, this one is kind of like a little star. I think of it as a sun. And then this piece, this side, is the moon. They are also hoopy, and so that like star or light and the moon are hanging from the hoops, and these two are also $75. So with that being said, thank you so much to Analuisany for sponsoring this video. Down in the description below, there is a link and a code for 10% off. Use ElizaPlants10 for 10% off, and again, that's all in the description down below. Now let's get into my plant successes. So if you've been on the channel for quite some time, you know that when I first got my cats, a lot of my plants suffered, especially because my cats were rescues and they were living outside, and they were also kittens, so they were still learning, and they really love dirt, like really love dirt. So I was finding them digging up a lot of my plants, and because they were newer to litter boxes and were used to it being okay to go to the bathroom outside in the dirt, they would go to the bathroom in my plants before I would have a chance to notice, and the plants would suffer. I lost a lot of plants to this, and this is no longer an issue. They're a lot older now and they get it now, but I was able to bring a lot of plants back from the dead, essentially, from this period of time, and some of them are flourishing better than before. Now, not all of the plants that I've got here in this successes are from that period of time. All of these plants that you see in front of me are part of this, and we're just gonna jump in. So I've got this Ficus Taneki, and she doesn't look impressive right now, but I just want to tell you that she is so impressive compared to where she has come. And it's been at least 6 months of work with her, but I got this from, I believe it was either an Etsy shop or Gabriella Plants, and it did not handle shipping well. And then I got my cats, and because it is a poisonous plant, it got kind of pushed somewhere where the cats couldn't get to it and neglected, in addition to just shipping shock. It lost all of its leaves but this one, and I almost threw it out, if I'm honest with you. But with some exciting purchases, i.e. my greenhouse, this little plant has been in my greenhouse since I got it and has done so much work. We have lost leaves from a time where I forgot to water it since, so it did have more, and this one I accidentally bent in the process of getting everything over here, which kind of sucks. But it's popped out so many more leaves. This one's still pink, and it's popping out another one on both branches, and I'm just so excited this one's doing so well. Next, I want to talk about these. So this is kind of a mixed pot of Peperomia obtusifolia, variegata, a different kind of variegata, I believe, and then just a regular one. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that these were so big and full. Each of them were big and full. And then the variegated ones, I think, must have gotten peed in, and the regular one got knocked off my fridge when the cats first started learning how to climb. So they really suffered, and all of them nearly did not make it. However, I stuck them all in water. I took cuttings that I stuck in water. And now we have this plant. It's not like huge and lush, but this is so great compared to where it was. And it did take quite a few months. I got my cats almost a year ago now, so it's been some time. And the variegation is just starting to come in. I don't know if you're going to be able to see all of these leaves in the center, but we've got all this new tiny little growth in the center here and at the tops. And it's so awesome. I'm so excited for this plant. Next, I want to talk about my string of turtles. So I've actually had my string of turtles since 2016, I think. I got it, and it was one of my first plants, and I had no idea what I was doing, but it was doing really well. And then I moved to North Carolina, nearly lost it, brought it back, and then I moved back to Michigan, nearly lost it, and then I got another tiny, 3 tiny cuttings, and I added to it, and it was really not doing okay, and I don't know why. I don't know if my cats got a hold of it. They shouldn't have been able to where it was, but I finally did some research on, I identified what it was and then did research on its care, and I realized that I was not giving it enough humidity. And I put it in my greenhouse when I got my greenhouse, and now we are thriving. We've actually got a teeny tiny little flower right there, which I didn't notice until just now. And there are some dead branches from times where I've squished the ends in my greenhouse. It's not optimal for hanging plants in there or trailing plants in there. So that's kind of a thing, but it's also small, so it's easy to forget to water. Oh, we've got another flower up here. But we are thriving, so I'll just kind of try to show you all of the growth, some growth up top. She was just replanted into this bigger pot. I know it's a tiny pot, but she was in a smaller pot, and we've gone into a larger pot now. We're happy, we're thriving, I'm excited. Now I want to talk about the Xanadu, because while this on its own is not necessarily an exciting plant, its journey is kind of exciting. So this is the only plant, if not one of the few plants my cats actually chewed on when I first got them. And I didn't realize that they were chewing on it because, they weren't getting sick from it. I don't know if it's poisonous. If it is, it's extremely mild poisonous. It didn't have any effect on my cats. But I realized one day that the leaves were disappearing, not because of underwatering or miscare, but that the cats were not chewing the branches so that the leaves fell off, because I witnessed it once. And we were down to maybe 2-3 pathetic leaves, and then I also had spider mites, so it just really wasn't having it. So I honestly kind of hated the plant, and I stuck it on the back of a shelf with a grow light watered it not enough, and now we have all of this. There are 2 plants in there, which is kind of crazy, and all of these leaves, and we have actually battled spider mites, I think, twice since the original, and still growing. It's phenomenal. The leaves are starting to get big, which is really exciting. So love this one for that. Next, I want to talk about my mammei, because I mentioned it in a more recent video on my office tour that it was not doing hot, just it never really has been, not since I got it. And so after filming that video, what I did is I put it in my greenhouse, and it actually looks fairly similar to how it was in that video, which was filmed not that long ago. However, just a week or 2, maybe it has been 3, not even a month of being in the greenhouse, and that leaf that really wasn't doing anything is finally unfurling. I find this extremely exciting. You might not, but it's finally unfurling, and it's not brown. This is the first unfurling leaf that didn't unfurl brown. So I'm really happy, and I'm counting this as a solid success. We've got 4 more left, so bear with me. I'll try to go quickly. I mentioned in one of my previous, probably a tour video, that I have a yellow variegated syngonium, and it just lost all of its variegation, and I really struggled keeping it alive, and we've done some work. So it did lose a lot of its variegation. Some of these leaves do not have variegation, and eventually I will trim them back in an attempt to regain the variegation. However, some of the leaves are variegated. In fact, I've got a white variegated leaf, and I'm kind of expecting it to yellow in time, but I'm very confused by this white variegated leaf. But I cut off some of the variegation on this one, but there is variegation on this one. The camera won't pick it up, but there is some variegation at the bottom of this one. Again, same situation. There is some right here. Camera won't pick it up. And then we've got this awesome leaf with a ton of variegation, and a new one coming up with a ton of variegation. And then off of a little stub at the bottom that I thought was dead, we've got all these teeny tiny little leaves coming up, and they are all variegated. They're too small for me to be able to tell if they are yellow variegation or white variegation. I'm hoping yellow, but I'm not going to complain if it's white variegation. So I count this one a success because I almost threw it out and gave up on it. Next, let's talk about my Philodendron Pink Princess. So this plant was thriving and it was doing awesome. And then all of a sudden it just like dropped off the face of the earth. Everything crisp, like all of the leaves, I don't even think they crisped up, they just fell. And so when that happened, I chopped the top off and stuck it in water. And since doing that, I have replanted the top in with the base of the plant. So the original leaves that are left are this one and these 2 large ones. They're not the cutest leaves. They really don't even have near as much pink variegation on them as like the top that died did. However, since doing this, and it has been probably about 6 to 8 months, we have all of these growths up in here. So we've got a leaf right here. We've got one unfurling right here. This kind of crazy looking one right here. We've got this one. We've got, honestly, another kind of weird looking one right here. It doesn't even necessarily look like a full leaf. And then we've got one coming out right here soon. Another one coming out right here soon. And then I want to say there was another one coming out somewhere. Oh yes, there's a growth point being created right here off the front. So while it's not cute yet, it is growing, and it is growing a lot. So I'm really excited that I was able to recoup this one. Got 2 more. First, I want to talk about my Alocasia Silver Dragon. So this is something that I got from Green Spaces ID. I believe it was my 2nd order from them. And it came in the winter and had some serious winter shock, some winter damage. It lost all of its leaves. I stuck with it and I kept its bulb in moss, and it started growing a leaf. So the last time you guys saw it, not in a tour video, I believe it just had 1, maybe 2 leaves. And they were pretty small. However, since then, we have this absolutely ginormous plant. And of course, in Alocasia fashion, it has lost a couple leaves in the growth of these new leaves. but they're starting to get so big. Absolutely beautiful leaves. Like, just look at these. And then coming up from the center is this meaty looking leaf that I'm so excited for. And this one is actually starting to go just a little bit. So I expect to lose that one. But in addition to all of the growth that this guy is doing, and I keep him in my greenhouse, but I'm thinking he's making babies, but I'm not entirely sure. And I want to show you a close-up that I'll insert right here because I don't think I can show you on screen. But I think these are babies coming up. And please tell me if you know exactly what they are, if they are not babies. But if they are babies, I am absolutely thrilled with what this guy is doing, the hard work that he has put in. And honestly, it's one of my favorite success stories. And my battery is dying, so I want to get this last one in here really quick, but it is my Melanocrysum. So you saw this in my repotting video Q&A from a couple weeks ago now, but it is a plant that just like stopped growing when it showed up from my first Green Spaces order. And so eventually I finally got sick of it just not doing anything. I chopped the top off, threw it out, had another growth come up, and I have also chopped that top growth off. So after chopping it the first time, we got this. It lost 2 leaves in the propagating process, and it actually hasn't grown roots yet, but it has put out this leaf without any roots. So I'm thinking the roots will come after this guy's done unfurling. And we also got this leaf and another one coming up right here. So that's propagating currently. And then also, as you can see, where I've cut it here, we've got this growth coming up right here. So while not much of him really died off, he just wasn't growing, and it just is a success story in that when you propagate things, when you cut things back, you release something in the plant that just does so much better. So if you are struggling with a plant that is easily propagatable, I highly recommend doing some trimmings, and it may just do the trick for you. Those are my houseplant success stories, and I just want to remind you guys that the jewelry that you see on me, in addition to just like a ton of beautiful jewelry, you can get for 10% off using the code Elizaplants. It's also in the description, so you don't have to try and guess how that's spelled. But absolutely go check them out. Sustainable jewelry. It's awesome, it's beautiful, and it can be affordable, or you can get higher end pieces. So there's something for everybody. If you like planty content, give this video a thumbs up. Let me know about your houseplant success stories in the comments down below. Let's discuss our successes, because it's so easy to focus on the failures, but let's celebrate our successes in the comments down below. Subscribe to see more houseplant content, and I will see you next time.